Hey everybody, we got a great show for you today. We're going to show you a reveal. We're going to reveal how we ended up after air layering a sapodilla. Now this is no ordinary sapodilla. This is one called Silas Woods sapodilla. Stay tuned. We're going to be right back. Okay, so here we go. This is a nice branch that took, well, the air layer actually turned out pretty good, and I'm going to show you what happened here. This took a little over 5 months to get this to be where you're going to see it now. And what I'm going to demonstrate is I'm going to actually cut the branch, and then I'll show you what the air layer looks like. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to pot it up, and I'm going to describe a little bit about the process and how we got to this stage. Sapodilla is a fairly, I wouldn't say it's difficult, but it's time consuming because it takes a while. 5-6 months is not uncommon. Sometimes you can get them in 3 and 4 months, but typically I've seen 4, 5, even 6 months before your sapodilla is properly air layered. So let's show you. Let me take off. This is the wrapping that we put on the outside to kind of protect it. And then the key element is, look at these roots. I think you can see those roots. They're pretty nice, pretty thick. It's fairly moist still, but beginning to get a little on the dry side. So I just got to this in the nick of time. Also, I'm noticing there's a little bit of ants running around, which I'm not really too fond of that, but you know, sometimes that happens. You have a little opening here in the cellophane wrap, and that can give them an opportunity to get in there, and it's not good. So usually what I do is I tie off the ends with some type of masking tape or something to keep this really, really tight. But it looks like it got torn over here, and some of the ants got in, but it doesn't look like it did any harm. So let me go ahead and continue, and we'll unwrap this, show you guys. Okay, so I'm holding this camera by hand because at this point the tripod is very difficult to maintain, and also me get in there and not block everything. So anyway, you can see those nice roots, and I've started removing the wrap. Now I could continue trying to remove the wrap there, and we will, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut that off. But before I did that, I wanted to show you a close-up while it was on the branch so you can see. All right, so here we go. This is the Silas Woods sapodilla. The tree is just a little over 6 feet. It's a very nice tree. It's very subcompact, produces some very nice, sweet sapodilla fruit, delicious. Now, let me show you the air layer. Here we go. I'm going to come in just a little bit closer. Hopefully you can see this a little better. You can see that air layer is doing terrific. Nice, thick, healthy roots. As I already said earlier, it was growing very slowly. It took about a good 5 months. Sometimes it takes as long as 6 months. But also notice this. Even though the branch was getting air layered for over 5 months, the plant was still producing fruit. And that's very typical. You'll see that when you're air layering. All right, so the air layer actually looks pretty good. I've soaked it in some water for a little bit, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to pot it up. All right, so here we go. We're going to get our 3-gallon pot, and we already cleaned the pot out with a little bit of Clorox and some water to make sure that it's clean inside, because this is a pot that's already been used. And we've marked it Silas Woods AL for air layer and today's date, okay? 11/29/20. We've added a little bit of, this is actually a pretty good soil mix. This is jungle, I think it's called Jungle Grow, or Jungle Mix, and it's really, really good stuff. I like it. But it's a little bit on the heavy side, and I want to mix it with some Pro Mix. So I'm going to grab some Pro Mix over here, and I'm going to add about half of the volume is going to be Pro Mix. So we're going to go ahead, and we're going to put, Pro Mix is really, really good. It's excellent for propagating plants, and I just kind of want to make the soil a bit more aerated, okay? So what we're going to do is we're just mix it up. Now I'm going to remove, after I plant it, I'm going to cut off the fruit. After all, I'm not going to keep the fruit on there, and I'm going to cut off all these flowers. I really want the plant to focus on nothing but producing roots. and that's key. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to, as you notice, when I cut it, I left a little bit of a stub. I went all the way back to the branch because I want to have a little bit of a stub at the bottom. Now this is a kind of a small air layer. It has a nice shape to it, so it's going to grow into a nice tree with multiple nice branching. So it's going to be kind of dwarfy looking, pretty cool. Actually might make a really interesting bonsai in less than a year. If we were to grow this in a nice bonsai pot, this would look pretty cool with flowers and fruit, wouldn't it? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to put it in here. Okay, we're going to push it down. It's touching the bottom. Let me make sure. Yep, that stub is touching the bottom, so you can see how nice and compact that looks. It looks pretty good. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to put the stick in here and find a place to secure it. Let's get that stick in here, and we got to be real careful that we do not damage any of the roots. Okay, and we'll tie that on. Just take that and we'll tie on the branch. Now that I've tied off the branch, it secures it nicely. I'm going to put a little bit more Pro Mix in here. I've got my Pro Mix in there. We're looking good. And one of the things that I like to do also is I like to take a little bit of fertilizer. This is a time release fertilizer. Just take a little bit, not even that much, just a little hand, not even a full handful, just a slight bit in my palm, and I'll go around the edges here and I'll spread it out along the edges. I didn't put it anywhere near the roots. I put it along the edges of the pot. I don't want it to end up getting too wet for some reason and then releasing all that fertilizer and burning my roots. So I put just a little bit. This is a 18-6-8. So 18-6-8. That's going to be a lot of nitrogen. So I'm giving this plant a ton of nitrogen because I really wanted to get off to a good start. Now I could have made sure I added a little bit more phosphorus and potassium. That would help with the root zone, but I'm not really too worried about that. The roots look really good, and I can always add that a little bit later on. I just wanted to survive and get it growing and rooting nicely in the pot. And guess what? We've got ourselves another beautiful dwarf Silas Woods Sapodilla. Again, thank you everybody. I really appreciate you coming by. Give us a thumbs up if you liked the video. Remember, we're going to take this, we're going to put it in the shade now. I'm going to water it just a little bit, not too much, because when I added the Pro Mix, it's very, very dry, and so is the other mix. But you don't want to overwater it. You don't want to cook it in the sun. Oftentimes, people will take the plant and they will remove a lot of leaves. I'm not going to worry about it too much with this one. I'm just going to worry about the fruit. Going to remove the fruit, going to remove the flowers, and that wraps it up because it's getting dark and I'm running out of time. Hey, subscribe to the channel, give us a thumbs up. Thank you. We're doing the best we can to get you more content as fast as we can, but it hasn't been easy. It really hasn't been easy. It takes a lot of time to get these things done, and it gets dark so quick that we usually do these later on in the day, and by that time, well, you can see the video's going dark. Thanks, everybody. Happy gardening, happy growing. Peace.